Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1142A, and today's date is December 2nd, 2016, and the title of the episode is A Major Economic Shock is Upon Us, and it will trigger a systematic economic crisis. Now, before we get started, I just want to make an announcement. Tomorrow, which is Saturday in the morning, I'll be uploading an interview with Brandon Smith. He is from altmarket.com. And he had made predictions prior to the Brexit, prior to Trump getting elected, and he was right on both of those predictions. Well, now he's made additional predictions, and you can hear all of these predictions Saturday morning. If you are on the X22 Report email alert system, I'll send you an email. If you're subscribed to the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel, you should get an email from YouTube. If not, just go right to the channel in the morning. I should have this up by 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or you can come over to the X22Report.com site, scroll down a little bit, you'll see the video on the right-hand side. Or you can go to newssentinel.com, same thing, scroll down a little bit, look over to the right-hand side, you'll be able to play the video there. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, all I can say today is, wow. We got the unemployment numbers, and they fell from 4.9% to 4.6%. Have you noticed something very interesting about all of this? Have you noticed that they are really pushing the statistical information, and they are creating this illusion that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the economy is really getting a lot better. Think about it. Before the elections, GDP went up to 2.9%. After the elections, they revised it and went up to 3.2%. Obama never had a quarter of GDP above 3%. The only president throughout history. And all of a sudden, he got that. Today, the unemployment looks incredible. The stock market hitting all-time new highs. I mean, can anyone say setup? I mean, think about it. This is the last, 60 to 75 days of Obama. And all of this is happening all at once. Now, we know the unemployment numbers and most of the figures that they throw at us, they're completely manipulated. I mean, I can bring down this unemployment number down to 3%. All I got to do is take like 1.2 million people, say they're off the job market, they're not looking for jobs, and boom, I have my unemployment numbers, because that's exactly what they do. Now, they came in with numbers like 178,000 people got jobs. They were expecting 180, but there were two big surprises. One being that the unemployment rate dropped down to 4.6%. They weren't expecting this. They were expecting it to stay even, but they had to manipulate this. But the other surprise is, since everyone's getting all these jobs, why did the hourly earnings drop 0.1%? That's very interesting. And the other interesting thing is that the labor force soared to 95 million people. People not in the labor force. So what they do? Well, they remove people and said these people are not looking for jobs anymore. So the labor force participation rate went to 62.7%, the lowest since June and just shy of a 30-year low. So 446,000 people, you know what? They don't want to pay their rent, their mortgage. They don't want a new car. They don't want to go out and purchase goods. They just given up on looking at a job. And we have to remember how this is done. If you have not been on an interview within 4 weeks, they consider you fallen off. You might be sending your resume out there. You might be saying, I want a job. But if you're not on an interview, guess what? You are not counted, which is absolutely ridiculous. Secondly, if you get a part-time job, that's counted as a full-time job. If you get 2 part-time jobs, you have 2 full-time jobs. So this whole thing is completely manipulated. But when we look at these numbers and we dive into them, well, we see manufacturing. It declined. This is the 4th consecutive month of declining manufacturing. The 7th decline in the past 10 months. Since 2014, the U.S. added 571,000 waiters and bartenders and lost 34,000 manufacturing workers. Now, the National Restaurant Association Restaurant Performance Activity Index showed in October overall industry sentiment is the worst since the financial crisis, due to declines in both same-store sales and customer traffic going to restaurants, suggesting the restaurant workers should now be in line for maybe layoffs. And that's kind of strange, because when you look at the BLS data, they're trying to convince us that people are hiring waiters, waitresses, and bartenders. And if you really look at this, you can see that starting in March of 2010 and continuing through September of 2016, there has been just 1 month in which restaurant workers lost jobs. Jobs for waiters and bartenders and waitresses have increased in 80 out of the past 81 months. That's kind of strange in itself. And when you look at this, since the last recession, going all the way back to 2007, the U.S. has gained 1.8 million waiters and bartenders, and we've lost 1.5 million manufacturing workers. We are a part-time nation where we're losing our manufacturing every single day. And what's even worse, to get these job numbers, we see how they're doing it. The multiple job holder hit all-time new highs. What that means is a person now who just got laid off from their high-paying job has 1 part-time job, 2 part-time job, maybe 3 part-time jobs. The household survey revealed that the number of full-time workers tumbled by 103,000 as part-time workers jumped by 90,000. The trend continued in November when another 118,000 part-time jobs were added. And guess what? 9,000 full-time jobs were added. Very interesting. This is how they're getting their numbers. The people that fall off and people taking multiple jobs. Now, the divergence is even uglier when you look at non-seasonal adjusted jobs. Here we can see that there were 628,000 full-time jobs in November, offset by a surge in 678,000 part-time. And they're trying to convince us that these were all in retail. I wouldn't be surprised if they're counting the holiday part-time jobs into these numbers. And this is completely amazing because what we're seeing is people are losing their full-time jobs and people are getting their part-time jobs. Now, we understand that these numbers that they throw at us, it's to keep the illusion alive. And when we look at these numbers, we've been tracking these for a very long time, and we have shown that this economy right now is in a recession/depression. And they do this on purpose. They build the economy up to a point where everyone believes that everything is fine, because they want everyone in. This is how they profit from all of this. And of course, when the whole thing comes down, they profit on the way down. And this was all planned from the beginning. They knew the economy could not survive as of 2008. They knew they were going to have to do something. So they took the time, they prepared, they got ready, and they kept this illusion alive, saying that the economy is great, because they need a reason to say that the economy crashed. They need to point the fingers. Could be the administration, the new one that's coming in. It can be a country, a group. It doesn't matter. As long as the central bank is not blamed. Because we have to remember, they just can't say, hey, listen, the economy just fell apart. We're responsible for it. And now we're going to be moving to a different currency. They have to make it look like they did an incredible job. They improved the economy dramatically. And something else brought it down. But don't worry, we're here to save it. And the only way to save it is to get rid of the dollar. And it looks like this is the move they're going to make. Now, in Mexico, the central bank head, he decided to quit. And he was supposed to be on the central bank until 2021. And his name is Carstens. He's 58 years old. And for some reason, he decided to take a job with the Bank of International Settlement for a 5-year term. And we can see right now that this could be all in preparation for this brand new system. Now, on December 4th, we could have a very violent economic shock. The five-star movement, M5S, this is Italy's new populist political party. It's anti-globus, it's anti-euro, and the M5S has become the most popular political party in Italy. It blames the country's chronic lack of growth on the euro currency. And they promise to hold a vote to leave the euro and reinstate Italy's old currency, the lira. Now, we can see right now that this is going to be a turning point, because when the Italians vote and they vote for this new party, well, things are going to change dramatically. Actually, the Financial Times put it this way. An Italian exit from the single currency would trigger the total collapse of the Eurozone within a very short period. It would probably lead to the most violent economic shock in history, dwarfing the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy in 2008 and the 1929 Wall Street crash. Now, if the Financial Times is even partially right, it means the stock market crash is going to be something that we've never, ever seen before. This is how it could happen. On December 4th, the Prime Minister Renzi, current pro-EU government, is holding a referendum on changing Italy's constitution. In effect, a yes vote is a vote of approval for Renzi's government. A no vote is a chance for the average Italian to give the finger basically to the EU bureaucrats in Brussels. And once they do this, guess what? They will have a vote and they'll decide, should we stay with the EU or should we remove ourselves? And right now the polls are showing that 54% support dumping the EU, just like England. And we can see right now the same thing is going to happen, and this is going to be catastrophic. It's going to bring down the system. So what do we have happening right now? Well, the central bankers are planning for the economy to come down. We have a black swan type of situation coming up. Remember, they want to control the entire situation. We know the UK is trying to move away and get the process started and get out of the EU. Of course, the central bankers are trying to hold this all together because they know once this happens, they're going to lose control. The whole system's just going to collapse. Boom, we're done. And this is why they're going to be bringing down the economy before this happens. They see the writing is on the wall. And most likely, from the indicators that we're seeing, from the information that we're gathering, it looks like they're preparing to do this maybe in the next 4 to 6 months. Now, am I predicting that this is definitely going to happen at this point in time? No, but the indicators are sure showing us that they're running out of time. Look what's happening in the Middle East with the petrodollar. They thought they were going to have Syria and Iran, and they were going to have total control of the Middle East to keep this whole thing propped up. That's falling apart. So when you put all this together, what do we see? We see everything collapsing at once. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.